How are we all feeling?
Yeah.
Yes, ready. Are you ready for something exciting? Come on, here we go. Pension Wizards, story of the sprint. So we had two main goals this sprint. So a bit of kind of engine work, so back office kind of changing of the logic around referrals. And we had also, we wanted to implement the logic that works out what product to recommend for Athena, our customer. And that's, again, sort of in the back office sort of side of things. And then we wanted to join up the UI that we built last sprint to the solution mapping. So that was the kind of our three goals for the sprint. And just to give you a bit of context for Athena, this is a project we're doing. We've got to show a demo on the 20th of February. And we've basically signed up sort of three sprints. The first one's been done where we develop the UI. The second one is about doing these two things here. And the third sprint, which is next sprint, which is about generating the document. So by the end of next sprint, we'll have everything done and we're on track at the moment. So those are the three goals. Now you hear a lot of us talking about story points, and some of you probably are thinking, what's a story point? Why are we talking about story points? So story point really is something we use to estimate our work, and it's a relative metric. So it's not like time. It's basically we get all our work and we look at it and we say, okay, this one looks bigger than that one, and we assign numbers to it. And the numbers we use are 1, 2, 3, 5 and 8. And we take into account three factors: complexity, the effort, and the number of unknowns. And we sit down together and we assign numbers to the items of work. And the reason we use story points over time is that story points are a lot more accurate, because one developer's hour might be completely different to another developer's hour. And also you might have an experienced developer and an inexperienced developer, and their sort of concept of how long it's going to take them might be completely different. So as a result, we use story points, which are a way of estimating. And what you do at the end of the sprint, you add up all the story points you've achieved, and you get a figure, and that's known as a velocity. And then you try and use that same number in your next sprint. And so that's a story point. So in case we've been kind of waffling on about that and not explaining what we mean, that's what we mean. So last sprint, we said we were going to do 49 and we did 56. Yes. Let's claim the credit for last sprint. So you might say, well, should 56 is then our velocity? But what we identified as our team is that actually we get a lot of unknown requests coming in the sprint, so we need to keep a bit of slack. We don't want to commit to 56 straight away. We want to commit to slightly less, so under promise and over deliver, surprise and delight. And so we decided we're going to have a velocity. Our target velocity for this sprint is going to be 44. So that's what we signed up to, and the 44 encompassed the key things that we needed to deliver. So what did we do? Any guesses? Come on.
58.
Higher. Higher.
65.
Higher.
88.
Lower. There's the burn down. Another burn down that got to the bottom. We're on fire. Drum roll. Wow. 64. So great effort from the lads, particularly Rich and Van Hees and Gary, just churning through the tickets. So great work. So we got the two things done we promised. And we've also had two more Money Wizard clients, which we put them live. And this is becoming an even quicker process each sprint. So we've got a new URL for cancer research, Caesars Entertainment as well. It's all enabling us to get some sort of good MI on what's going on and what people's preferences are. We also released what we showed in the show and tell to live. So thanks Andy P for doing that UAT for us. And also, we've been getting some really good specs through, which have been really helping us to get the work done really quickly. So thanks again to the Fit guys for that. And also, we paid off loads of tech debt. Now you might remember this guy, Ernie. And Ernie, he did some great work for us around Elasticsearch. And to his credit, he banged his head against a brick wall, which was our kind of data, which was really kind of complex and difficult to sort of maintain. And the whole project became a bit of a kind of snowball effect. So he did a couple of sprints on it, and then we found some other complexities, and then we found we had to encrypt the data, and it became longer and longer and longer, and we couldn't get it into live. And we failed on a number of counts. We came up here and we said we're going to deliver it live, and we didn't get it live. And I think over Christmas I was thinking about this, and I guess I realised that, a bit like Bill Clinton when he said it's the economy, stupid. I realised it's the data. Fix the data, stupid. That is the real problem here. So another thing we achieved this sprint is that instead of trying to, in our application code, kind of cater for every different scenario where the data's in different formats and different ways, we thought, let's just try and marshal the data into one format. And so we wrote a script and we fixed 500 records. And this now enabled us now to get Elasticsearch with a few features removed that weren't working very well. It allowed us to get it into live. So this is Elasticsearch, who, for the first time in history, Nikki can see in one screen all the different reports, pretty much. Instead of having to go to different pages, she can now filter on the left-hand side. But she can look at, let's say, I want to look at everyone, let's say, who has been pre-registered but has not actually activated. So she can filter that. She can look at, let's say, drill it down by employer, and look at it's really the men, and then she can filter by their date of birth and find out so on and so forth. So it's a really powerful analysis tool that's going to allow us to hopefully transform the way we do our business. So next, this is kind of some of the work that Rich Van Hees has been working away on, and Gary as well. So I'm not going to show you the whole UI, just a few questions, but as I showed you last time, we've got these questions for our proof of concept, which we decided we wanted to deliver a full end-to-end journey with kind of 4 main sections, and this is kind of where they put in their sort of this is their financial resilience section. So how much they earn, how much they spend per month, and then they answer a few questions about their wealth and their job and their health, and that then generates their resilience. And then I've entered into some of this a bit earlier. Tell us a bit more about you. And then here's the magic bit where it goes off and it generates that. Then what's that done is actually called the solution mapping in the back end, generated the solution, and it's also generated a report. Now we haven't fleshed out the report, but if you click here, you can see it downloads a Word doc, which is what we signed up to do for the sprint. So next sprint, the aim is to flesh out that Word doc so it has all the advice in it. And we reckon that's going to take, with our new way of doing it, it's going to take less than a sprint, probably half the sprint for one person. So that's kind of all I wanted to show you. But if there's one thing that I want you to remember from this presentation, if there's one thing, questions?
I have a question. Why are story points 1, 2, 3, 5, and 8?
Fibonacci. It's the Fibonacci sequence. Yeah, it's a good question actually. But it just tends to. Anyone know the answer to that one?
It's to avoid being trying to get bogged down with the accuracy of the point. So once you get past 1, 2, and 3, you're basically saying it's kind of almost big and then very big. 8 being the biggest that you kind of try and do. So you try to avoid concentrating too much on the numbers and being a bit more estimated.
It was made up by clever people, so it had to sound clever.
Brilliant.
Another question. What's tech debt?
So tech debt's basically as you develop things, you kind of, to get things done, often you have to cut corners, and sometimes you cut corners which are it's right that you do it because you don't have time to do it properly. So you create a ticket on your kind of list of work for the future, known as a backlog, and you say, right, I'm going to pay off that debt that I've incurred at a later date. And so we try and do about 10% of our sprints on tech debt per sprint. And the thing is, unless you pay it off, it grows and grows, and then you end up with a sort of unusable system. So,
cool.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks very much.